All right. So one of the last applications that you were to do is to create a matrix, print that matrix, and then determine what the highest value in that matrix is. Now, I would use 1 through 100. That way you're more likely to get a single. And all I'm asking you to do, you don't have to do multiples. Like, let's say that 97 is the highest number and it's generated multiple times. All I care about is that you pick it up at least the first time. And its location in that matrix. Two types of the matrix. Well, first of all, it's in both cases, it's a multi-dimensional array. It's two-dimensional. So it is a matrix of rows and columns. So you need to generate those numbers, display them in a grid of either 3 by 3 or 10 by 10. Okay. Have a menu that says, okay, I want a 3-dimensional one, or I want a 10-dimensional, I'm sorry, I want a 3-row, 3-column, or 10-row, 10-column. And of course, to quit or whatever, you really don't need a tester in this one because it is a tester. There's no real input from the user except, hey, I want to go ahead and generate and show me the results. Okay. So that's
Let's say we got it.
Hello? Somebody was talking. Anyway, so that's what one of the things. The second thing is you can do it in one of two ways. Is one, you can generate the grid and then search the grid row by row or column by column. Or you can, I'm getting my coffee here. So you can search the grid that way, or as you're going through and generating, at that time, you can decide, hey, is this the largest number I've generated so far? And I wrote mine just because of the ease of it. I did it while I'm generating. And so I think I'll go over that this morning with you. And there's some things that in your future, think about while you're doing this. It's like, how do we determine what the largest number is? Okay. Well, the first thing is as I'm generating or as I'm going through 0, 0, in other words, the array element 0, 0 will always be the largest number right off the bat because it's the first number there is. So I don't care if the number is 0 or 1, it's the largest number, if you understand that. So you really don't have to test 0, 0 to be the largest number because it is the largest number. Okay. So that's just one thing, and that's common to set that as your largest number right off the bat. Okay. And then really after that, all it is a comparison. Is the number being generated now larger than that number? If it is, then we need to store that number in a variable. Hang on, I got to yell at my dogs. Hey, Jasper. Anyway, I don't know what's with them lately. They go outside, they see anything moving outside. It could be a squirrel, and they're barking. I think they have the coronavirus. I really do.
I mean, I bark at squirrels.
You bark at squirrels.
Yes, I mean, I get where he's coming from.
With your helmet on, I'll bet too.
Exactly. I run on all fours across my yard with a Boba Fett helmet. Like, run, 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 run.
Sees on sensors and he's like, oh, picking up movement. I gotta go.
I mean, there goes the neighborhood, right?
But I don't kill the squirrel because he's no good to me dead.
You know, what would really be cool though is if you could get some fiberglass or something, and on your car, turn it into like a.
Oh, the slave one.
Then people see you go out and get in your car and drift away or whatever.
Right.
Anyway.
Like I'm getting groceries and I'm like,
Yeah.
groceries in the cargo hold.
Little jet packs on the back.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, can you take care of them, Cheryl, please?
I saw that
Today it's the mailman. I don't know why don't dogs like mailmen? My dogs love everybody but the mailman.
I think dogs are classist.
They are classes. Okay, so anyway, there's little things like that that will come into play in other programs. Like, I don't know how many times, when I first started out, I thought I had to see if the first one was the largest number. Well, of course, it's always the largest number, right? So what I'm going to do, I'll go through this, and then you'll just be able to go in and please add your menu to it. And again, the menu choices would be generate a 3x3, generate a 10x10. It should be graphical. You'll see how I did my graphic. It looks really nice because it's all lined up. And I did it with tabs, not spaces. Spaces are hard because if you have a single digit number or a 2-digit number that you're generating, they won't line up if you try and do it with spaces, okay? So we'll take a look at that real quick. The program is short. It won't take us the whole period. And this will really be the last lecture or whatever that I'll give for the semester. My plan is on, Thursday, I'll show up here at 10 o'clock. If you have any questions, fine, drop in. It'll be like an office hour. You can speak with me about it. Otherwise, you don't have to show up on Thursday. Friday is our due date this semester for my class anyway. Some of your other classes might be next Monday, the 18th, but mine are Friday. I'd like to have your stuff in so I can have a chance to grade over the weekend and during next week. I'll go through your stuff. If I see any zeros, I'll check back into your portfolios and see if in fact I missed it. My assumption will be is if it is not in your portfolio that you didn't intend to turn it in, and you'll take the hit for that. I mean, if you're missing 1 or 2, it isn't gonna burn you too bad. If you're missing half the semester, yeah, it's pretty bad. What else? If I was you guys, like I always said, I would never take a semester off in between. Well, you have to take the summer off because we don't teach Java 2 in the summer. But during that summer period, during the 2 months or whatever we have, I would go back in and go over this stuff, make sure you're not just, Java, I'll pick it up again in the fall. It'll be a lot harder. You're going to forget stuff. And again, if you don't use it, you lose it. That's there, especially in programming. So I would say, try and do a little bit, open your book up, say, hey, can I still write this program, can I improve this program, whatever. And then take Dr. Al-Hashimi in the fall to knock that out. If you're going to go on to Java 3, I would recommend you take it in the spring. Boom, boom, boom. I know it's not easy, but that's the way to do it. It's like taking a math class. If you start taking college algebra or trig or something like that, and your plan is to go on to calculus or that, you don't want to take a break in between. You want to go right along so that your mind is fresh and everything like that. Okay? So
what's the grading scale for the class? Is there a grading scale?
A grading scale in our class?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's posted in Blackboard, dude.
Okay, thank you.
I'm a 93 to 100 kind of guy for an A.
Oh, no, I'm referring to, like, is there differences in what percentage a particular portion will take up in our grade?
I think I've got it down as 85%. And then there's like a 15% class participation thing, which is really subjective on my part.
It's tentative. I gotcha. You'd say it's tentative for the participation thing?
Yeah, and in this class is going to be, if I look and see that you're missing half the programs, well, participation grade isn't going to be very good, right?
Right.
if I see that you did all the programs in that, I probably won't even calculate it. I'll just say, okay, they got a 90 or 95, you know, and it's good. You know, so it's pretty subjective. I wouldn't worry about it if you've been consistent in getting stuff in or communicating with me, doing the stuff we ask, and you'll be fine. Okay? Philip, is that okay?
Yeah, that works. Thank you for the information. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
there isn't a lot, you know. In some of my classes, we have discussion boards, and that counts, and little projects on the side, those count, things like that. But in here, it's basically, did you write the programs? Okay.
Yeah, I missed a few because I had certain things going on that day. Would that really affect it too much?
No. Did
Okay,
you get
awesome.
did you turn your programs in?
I have some programs that I don't have turned in, no.
Okay. Well, again, it'll depend on how bad it is, you know.
All right, that works. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Any other questions before we go on?
Yeah, actually. So just to confirm, lessons 14 and 15 are the last things we have due?
That's it.
Oh, okay.
Do you want me to get you something else to do?
No, I was just checking that there wasn't like a final
I'm kidding.
thing or whatever.
No, I don't believe in. I'm more concerned that you did what you were supposed to do, that you learned how to program. I'm not going to give you a test that says, okay, now if you don't know what this is called, no, you write programs. Hopefully you've been writing them, not somebody else. And it's a learning thing, you know. I'm not going to pay the penalty when you leave this class if you try and get a job and say, I can write Java, and you can't write Java. Okay. That'll be your fault because you didn't do what I told you to do, or Dr. Alashimi. Because what we tell you, especially as you get more advanced in his classes, if you can do what he tells you to do, you should be able to go out in the workplace and if it's a Java job or any programming job, you should be adequate. I mean, you should be prepared. If you don't do what we tell you and you squeeze by, and then you're going to have problems. So you need to make that decision in your life if, in fact, you're going to apply yourself and that you like to program. If you don't like to program, or if you don't like sitting in front of a computer and working out problems, this probably is not the career move for you. Okay? Joel?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, buddy. All right, let's take a look at this thing. Anybody else? I'm sorry. I think, again, I've said this to you before, I believe. I treat programs as a challenge. Kind of like you guys play video games. The people I have worked with have worked for me when I owned my own company, stuff like that. They treated these programs that we had to write in the real world almost like you guys treat video games. How can I solve this in the most efficient way? How can I improve what we already have and things like that? And the guys that I had doing it, they lived and breathed this stuff. You know, they know, the guys that write this on a daily basis know a lot more than I do about how to do it, and they find new ways to do it. So, all right, let's try and open up NetBeans here. See how my computer's going to run today. And I'll start sharing. We're already recording. And you should see NetBeans coming up right now. Getting free HBO right now, free almost everything, it seems like, for the next several days. I watched Spider-Man this morning before. I met
Which
with
Spider-Man?
huh?
Which Spider-Man?
The new one, where they go to Europe.
Oh, I like that one. Mysterio is so cool.
Yeah, Mysterio. I don't know. It looks like he has a big fishbowl on his head to me, but
I mean, it is. It is. But he looks cool.
but he looks cool. But he doesn't have a helmet.
Exactly.
Uh,
I mean, he has a fishbowl, but I
has
mean,
a fish
a Boba Fett helmet.
All right. So we're going to go here. We're going to begin a new project. And of course, it's a Java app. And I think I'll call it how about Max Matrix? Okay, and we'll clean this up before we get started here. So this is just project Max Matrix. This Max Matrix Java. Date. God, time flies. I'm telling you. I think that's about says it. And I'll just save that. Copy this up at the top. All right, I'm going to go over here to a new file. And it's a class. And I'm just going to call it matrix. Again, I try to name my classes. Excuse me. Oh man, my classes as nouns, as singular nouns, because really that's what it is. And then I'm going to instantiate from that class. So, sure, now my nose is bothering me. Dog hair, probably. And just generate that. Control V this in. And then we'll say this is just matrix. And this is good. And we'll import. And remember that this is not the only way to create a random number. You always have the math random one that's already built in. You don't have to import that. You just preface it with the word math. I just prefer this one. Okay, I'm going to declare some variables, actually about 6 of them, okay, right away. And not used yet, yes. So things I want to save, I want to know, I'm going to do row up here, I'm going to do column up here, and I'm going to do max row. And right there, I already declared that the max is in 0, 0. Okay, so I got its location even before I've generated it. And then I'm going to say max num is equal to a -1 because it can't be that. My numbers are going to be 0 through 99. And then I'm going to say this. There's my array. Some of you need to learn how to spell integers too. It's integers, not integers. And that's a common spelling error. All right. Okay. So on this one, I'm going to only create a single constructor because the program doesn't warrant me having a default. So I'm just going to go ahead and make this public matrix int num. Let's say. Okay, so I only need to get one number. The reason being is that the row and column are the same. We're creating a matrix that's the shape of a square. If I was making rectangles, okay, then I would need both numbers, right? If you understand what I'm saying. Because we're either going to get a 3 by 3 or a 10 by 10. We're not going to have a 3 by 7 or something like that. So in reality, to simplify it, I only need one number to be imported. Okay, and then grid is equal to a new read that. I'm going to change this num here. It makes more sense if it's size. Size here. And size here. So if it's a 3 by 3, those both will be 3s. Or if it's a 10, it'll be 10 there. And then I need to do my random. So instantiate that. And I need to do row is equal to size. And column is equal to size. Good. And then we can start we're going to need a nested for loops. So I'm going to just say for size is equal to 0. Where is the sign? 0. Size. That's not right. For row is equal to 0. Row is less than size. And row is plus. And for column is equal to 0. Column is less than size. Column plus plus. And then grid. Row. Is assigned. And the next. Oops. Grid. Okay, then we want to let's go with that'll work. So if it's the first one, all we need to do there is say that the max num is equal to mid row column. Then it's generating there else if max num is less than grid row column, then max num is assigned grid row column, because that means it changed that the number that was generated is a higher number.
If I need to go back and look at this, is this going to be posted as a video?
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Max row will be equal to row, then max column will be equal to column. So basically what we got now is, if it's the first time through, it just recorded, we already got 0, 0 in the row column. So that'll be our first, that's gonna happen the first time through. It's gonna, whatever number's generated is gonna be put in 0, 0. After that, what it'll do is that they're generated, it'll say, wait a minute, is what's being generated bigger than max number? Okay. If it is, then whatever was generated and put in the grid is assigned a max number, and then we record the row and the column so we can get to them later. And then, so it runs that whatever many times. Then we need a line feed right here. So this will just be system.out.print line. Because that's like, okay, so it runs the inner loop 10 times and prints out 10 numbers. And when it does, then it goes outside back to the row. We want to go drop down a row, right? So that's all that line does. It drops us down. So we're going to have this cute little matrix, right? And then when we're all done, all we want to do is this. And you can do this in a couple different ways here. But so that'll print out whatever the maximum number is. And what row it's in will go here. And we're going to do something here. We're going to make this more user-friendly by putting max row here and adding 1 to it. That way, if it's a 10 by, it'll be numbered, you know, row 1, column 1 versus 0, 0. Okay? To the user. The user won't know that we did zeros. You have to put it in parentheses here, or it'll print out max row. Let's say it's in row 5, you'd end up with max row 51. Because if it would say that, oh, it's a string, it has to convert it to a string. So make sure you got those in parentheses like I did, so it does the math first. Again, this column plus 1. So again, and that's about it. I'll leave that up for a minute while I take a sip of my coffee so you can catch up if you're behind. Again, in that printf up there, that %D means I want an integer there, not a decimal. D stands for integer, B for Boolean, F for floating point, S for string. So, and then /T means put a tab in there too. And then replace that placeholder. Notice I don't have a /n because I don't want to go down to the next line. That's done down here to move us to the next line down once we leave this inner loop to go back out to the outer loop. Anybody need more time? Or yours doesn't look like ours? Or, well, let's run it and then so let's go over to max matrix and drop down in here, and we can just create a new matrix. Matrix is my matrix. Matrix. Oops. And in reality, blah, 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 blah. So the maximum number is 99 in row 9, the third position over. And there you go, it's right there. Do it again. Oops, row 1, number 2. There it is. So then what I can do though, right now anyway, I can put a 3 in here. You can see the maximum number is 87. It's in the third row, the second position. Okay. So now when you make your menu, all you need to do is send this variable or just do this, right? If they choose the 3x3, you're going to generate or instantiate a matrix a 3x3. And then over in the one for 10x10, you can put the same thing with the 10 in there. And you could actually use literals in this case. I don't think that would break any big law. You could make it so, 3x3, 10x10, or let them pick a number randomly. I wouldn't, I don't want to see 100 by 100, but in reality, this one is 20. There you go. Row 6, number 14. 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Right there. 14. Is that 14? Oh no, that's 12. Here's 14 right there.
It's pretty fun if you type in 100.
No, don't do that.
I did.
My screen does it. What happens? Mine would wrap, I imagine. I don't know. So you could limit them. Mine's going to be, you guys' screens are probably a lot bigger than this. Hey, look at that. It's in row 1, number 45. So somewhere out here. I forgot what it was even. It was 99. And if I go up to the top row. Okay, where are you? Oh, I hate this. Top row, and then 99 should be out here somewhere. There it is. And again, there could be other 99s in here. We didn't test for that. Okay, for additional ones. So now all you need is a simple, maybe put a banner in and a menu. Who has one that is not working?
Mine's saying that 0 is the highest number. I'm sure it's probably an easy fix.
That 0 is the highest number?
Yeah, even though it's not, it just likes the
Oh,
number.
let's go here and look. It should be right here, la, 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 la. Somewhere, you got a problem here somewhere, I would say.
Oh, I see what it is. I see what it is.
Okay?
Let me try it again.
Anybody else?
There we go.
All right. Now, again, what I was saying earlier is we could just have this part right here. Okay? Or I'm sorry, this part right here. And that would generate the matrix. So if you wanted to just generate a matrix, this is what you would do right here. Then you could have another function or method that does this part right here, where it would go through. You'd set it so it goes through and finds the maximum number. Okay, after you generate and display the grid or the matrix. Okay, so you could have it as a two-step process instead of doing it the way I did it. And then in fact here, in reality, I could do this program without having an array in this method that I'm doing. Because I really never go back and get anything out of the array except for the number I'm currently generating. All right. So if I just change this to something called maybe new number, every place that I have grid, if I replace that with new number, I don't even need a grid. I could declare just a variable called new number up here, and it would work fine. So I'm not using my array to its fullest. I'm not, like I said, I don't have to store I don't have to store them. If I do it the second way, I have to store them because it would be after the fact. And that might have been the intent of the book, that you store them because you're going to use them in the future. But Doug had a shortcut here. Why go back or why create more code, right? Because then I'd have to create another nested loop to go back through them and check for them. So I'd have a lot more code at that point. But again, if you wanted to follow the rule that a procedure or a method only does one thing, in reality, we could make two of them here under public matrix. We could have one, create a matrix or something, and then two, have another procedure called get max number or something. Okay. And then in the actual constructor, we would just have those two lines, create a matrix and then get max number. You guys understand what I'm saying? So I could break this down farther than what we did. Anything else? Anything you don't understand about what this is, what we did here? This is pretty simplistic as far as arrays go and as a class to generate from. Don't get much simpler than this right here.
It makes sense. I just need to practice arrays more.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, and that's what it is. I mean, it's a matter of practice, trying things, what works, what doesn't work. What else could I have done over here? Oh, I could, in this right here when it says size, I know I can make this right. I could make this grid, this one grid parenthesis or brackets. In other words, here, let me change it real quick and show you. This could say grid dot, or I'm sorry, grid here, what was it? Length. And this one down here would be what? Somebody tell me. Jump in there.
But
Oh, come on. Somebody take a chance.
also be grid that length. Oh no, it'd be grid the yeah. Excuse me.
And that's just a placeholder, right? Doesn't
It
really.
would show for that next part, yeah.
Yeah.
Other than picking
So
the
I could
same
have
one.
done that, and it would have done the same thing. There you go. So again, this one's kind of a little choice. This one's probably a little more generic. Okay. But definitely size would work in this case because both of them are the same length. Well, if there's no questions, that's basically my song and dance. That's all I had for today. Like I said before, I hope you guys enjoyed this somewhat. Some people didn't. Apparently, there's only 8 of us here today, counting me. So that means there's 7 of you that lasted the semester at least.
Well, I think some people left earlier too.
Oh,
We had more when we came in here, but
Kind of crazy to think about because there were like 20 something when we started, right?
yeah. And you know, you have to realize some people, I don't know. You have to commit the time. I mean, that's been my thing since the beginning, I think. I think I told you guys right off the bat. You got to put the time in. There's no shortcuts. You can't do it once a week and expect to understand it. I mean, in reality, if you want to, I mean, it's the old thing. What do they tell you? I think somebody had this thing, if you want to learn how to do a job or something, or how to do something, you have to put in 4,000 hours. Okay. Well, that's basically right. I mean, if you were to go to work somewhere, that's 2 years, under 2 years. There's 2,080 working hours in a year if you don't consider vacation. So 2,080. So if you say, okay, you can learn how to almost do anything if you've been doing it for 2 years, right?
Right.
So I don't expect you to put 2 years of work in, but in reality, if you think about it, if you were to take Java 1, Java 2, Java 3, there's 3 semesters, a year and a half, let's say. And then do some practicing and other programming stuff. You know, you get done with 2 years, you should have a good background.
Yeah.
So
What kind of stuff do you do in Java 3? Is that pretty
a lot more abstract.
really?
Yeah. It can, you know, in what we're doing right now, the last stuff here, the class thing, that leads to more abstract. Like right now, it's pretty understandable. The objects we're creating are real. Okay. As you get into more complex, we build data structures out of other structures. I mean, we introduced lists in this class, if you remember that. but then they'll build other data structures on top of that. Okay. And certain data structures are used to do certain things. Okay. I mean, it's more efficient to use, there's things called trees and all kinds of things like that that you build. And it has to do with how efficient is it in searching. You know, there's binary trees and lists and stuff like that. So you get into more abstract objects the farther you go. And there's more stuff to do. I mean, you know, we never touched on how to access like a database or anything like that, which would be a big thing in programming, in all types of programming, really. How do I get to data that's in a file? We didn't do a lot of file manipulation in this course. So you've learned how to maybe, you started out like maybe walking and maybe you're at skipping now. You're not at a full run yet.
Okay.
So what do you guys think? You're going to get stuff in? Like I said, where'd he go? Well, if you have any outstanding stuff, I'll be glad to grade it and give you some points. Points are points, you know.
Mhm. By the way, just as a fun experiment, I typed in 1,000 for the matrix.
Nice.
It took about 5 minutes, but it worked.
Well, you should be able to type in, it's an integer, so right around 32,000, a little bit more than 32,000, which would be kind of scary.
Yeah. I mean, I was kind of getting a little scared there at first, you know, because like it was generating, you know, a million numbers. So it's, you know, it was doing it, but it was kind of like starting to skip and glitch a little bit. And I was like, oh, please survive this.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be, yeah, you're right. It would be a million numbers, right? 1,000 thousands.
Yeah.
Yeah, that should slow your machine down. That'll tell you how fast your computer is, right?
Yeah. It took me about, my computer is fast enough to generate a million numbers in about 5 minutes.
Yeah. I told you that story, right? When I started in this, in desktop computers, I mean, I'd ran mainframes in the military back when they were UNIVAC. So probably didn't have the capacity of your cell phone. But when I first started these 286 speed computers, so they weren't Pentiums. They were called 286s, 386s. And we had, when I went to the prison, ours were mostly 286s. And it would take something like we wrote a program, a small basic, we didn't have Visual Basic, just a basic A program that came with DOS that would count to 1,000,000. And I think it took 2.5, 3 days.
Oh my God.
Count to 1,000,000. Then we got a 386 and it took maybe 2 days. Then we took that 386 and put a math coprocessor in it and it cut it down to under 24 hours. And then finally we got 486s. But even then you had 486 SX, which didn't have a math coprocessor. And then you had 46 DXs that had math coprocessors. And then they made these things to overclock your computer. So if you were really a real tech nerd, you know, you'd put in this chip on top of your chip and it could overclock the speed of your computer. Now, not everything might work right anymore, but it could speed it up. When I first, you guys, I forget, God, my memory. But it was a game, okay, first person shooter. First one I ever saw. I was at Best Buy and there was a guy there and they had set him up a little thing on an end aisle, and they were playing a first-person shooter online, and it was kind of like Castle Wolfenstein, if you know what that is.
Oh yeah.
Okay, one of the first-person shooters, and everybody. I mean, there was a crowd, and it took 10 floppy disks to get the program. So you had to buy. Best Buy's deal in the thing was you needed 10 disks.
Right.
So people were going in together and buying, packs of 20 or packs of 50 discs, 3.5-inch discs, and getting copies of this. Well, then you take it home. Well, it won't run. Your computer back then might have only had 2 megabytes of RAM or 4 megabytes of RAM. And so what you had to do then is take some of your extended memory from other uses, say running a CD-ROM or whatever your memory did, and you'd steal that to run the game. That's how bad it was back then.
Oh yeah. I mean, I was in like kindergarten, first grade when, and we still had floppy disks. Like they were kind of starting to be on their way out, but it's like I remember having to use them, and they sucked.
Yeah, you could play. Did you like play? What was the one? Oregon
Trail.
Oregon Trail. Yeah.
Because that was, every time I died of dysentery, and it was fantastic.
There you go. The inmate, I'll tell you what, the inmates at the prison, they used to love playing that stuff. And Mavis Bacon teaches typing, okay? So they didn't know how to type when they came to my class, so I had to teach keyboarding. So instead of teaching it, we'd throw the disc in, and they'd play that game. And they'd go from typing 0 words a minute, and after a year, say, a lot of them were typing 70 words a minute.
Oh, wow.
Just because they bet on it. I'll bet you 10 cigarettes. I'll bet you 100 push-ups. I can type faster than you can.
I'm going to wreck you at the Oregon Trail for 10 cigarettes.
That's right. Yeah. So.
Then like if someone got beat at the Oregon Trail, he gets stabbed in the shower or something.
Yeah, you get shanked.
Yeah. Beat my score.
But yeah, so I mean, it's really, and then of course, man, we got Windows 95 really boosted speeds, but because you had to go out and it wouldn't run on anything less than 8 megabytes of memory. So everybody in the world had 4 megabytes. So to buy another 4 megabyte, a stick of 4 megabytes, not gigs, 4 megabytes was $200.
Oh God.
So you had to go pay $200 to get 4 megabytes more of RAM for your computer to run Windows 95. And then, of course, once we got to Pentiums and that, it changed the whole game, of course.
Yeah.
So, well, that's about my song and dance, guys. So I do hope you learned something. I hope that some of you at least turn out to be programmers. Again, you don't have to be the Mozart. I mean, some people are just, it's like anything, musicians, mathematicians, whatever. I would recommend that, and it's hard for me. I am not a good math person, but if you can get through a few math courses, I'd highly recommend it, because some people are gonna, when you go to get a job or that, they might want you to have certain math. And it depends on what kind of computing you want to do. You have application type stuff where you work for a bank or insurance agency, programming, things like that, Caterpillar. And then you got the high-end stuff like computer engineering, where you're actually creating new computers and processors and things like that. And that really, you're an engineer, so you need that kind of mathematics. And ICC has paths to both those careers in our 2-year transfer. but you can make a pretty good living. Maybe not in Peoria. I mean, Caterpillar is going to be your primary employer. There are other small computer companies that do look for people with computing skills, though. Just, I recommend you make your own, you make your, people ask me, well, where can I get a job? Or how do I get, you need to do whatever you have to do yourself to make your credentials look good. Join organizations, Skills USA is a good one, and some of the other ones that are out there, and just get your name out there, your skills out there, create a resume. ICC can help you with that. Whatever.
Yep.
All right. Enough of my lecturing here. All right. And so if you want to drop in and see me on Thursday, that's fine. Otherwise, I'll be posting your grades sometime next week to e-services, so you'll be able to see what you get. All right.
Sounds good.
Thank you very much.
All right, guys. Have a great day, and I'll post this recording in a little while once it runs through the